So in this video, I want to talk about Eris and Rudy's relationship and where it comes down to as far as the fault of why things broke apart in the way that it did at the end of season 1, and some of the things that are very obviously going to happen with Rudy just based on the fact that what happens to people in the real world when certain breakups do happen. So there won't be any spoilers in this video, and there is no right or wrong answer. I'm simply just laying out information and different points of views. These videos are never about trying to force a particular one opinion, but more open up many different opinions, and you look at the different avenues and discuss about what you think is right and wrong amongst all those opinions. There is no hill that I'm trying to die on. So with the actual title itself, I'm not 100% sure how the title's going to be, but it will be something along the lines, is Eris at fault or is Rudy at fault when it comes to the relationship breakdown? And I don't think there is a right or wrong answer, because I think in some part you can say Eris is at fault because of the fact that she did not communicate what she was planning to do and why she was planning to do it. But you've also got to realize, and this is where some of it does come down to Rudy, that Rudy should have realized that Eris is not the greatest communicator. She isn't exactly a scholar in reading and writing and literature. She is not a great person of words. She's very blunt, very to the point where she's not as diplomatic. She doesn't put the words in the context necessary to say, hey, I'm going to do this, and this is why I'm going to do it. It's not of any of your fault. I want to rise up to your level, Rudy, because I feel inferior because of how talented and gifted you are as a wizard, and I want to improve my sword skills so that I can stand side by side by you as a partner and help protect you. And because of the incident that happened with Orsted, I feel that I am not adequate enough to stand by your side. Of course, she could have written that. Now, of course, she could have maybe written it a little bit more densely, compressed some of those words and meanings down, but in the end of the day, she basically just wrote in a very simple sentence of, yep, going somewhere, see ya, kind of thing, with no context. And that, of course, allows for those that could be insecure, and that is something that is very obvious. Rudy is very insecure. You look at his past, and you look at the present, he is very insecure. He still has some trauma deep embedded in him. And I've seen people say that, no, Rudy doesn't have trauma anymore. He's completely overcome it after the whole Roxy incident because of his past. And then Roxy came along and he was too scared to go out. And then once he went out with Roxy, everything was solved overnight. No. No, that is not the case at all. There is still a lot of deep embedded issues inside of Rudy's mind that just slowly crop out. It's just they're not as prevalent in that part of the story because there's a lot of things going on. Rudy is very heavily focused on getting Eris back to where she needs to be, to her family, whether they're alive or not. Again, it's in season 1, but of course at his point he was trying to get Eris to that place so that he could complete what he's seen as a mission, and then of course a load of other things were also happening along the way. So there wasn't many moments for him to be super insecure or have any moments of trauma, because he was just hyper focused on, and even then during those periods there are moments where his insecurity does crop up, but particularly in that component, when that relationship breaks down, you see that insecurity instantly kick in, that trauma instantly kick in, that insecurity kick in. And that is obviously going to be something that is going to be very prevalent in the back of Rudy's mind. He became very attached to Eris because of their journey together and the highs and the lows that they went through. Remember at the beginning of the story, Eris was a very, very difficult young lady. And it took a lot of effort for Rudy to kind of sand some of those rough edges back. And they became much closer as friends. And then, of course, they had their moment during that night. They are very close. So Rudy built an attachment. And then with Eris walking away and not explaining why she's walking away, Rudy is instantly going to fall back to his past habits of instantly thinking of the worst possible situations. Oh, it's me. I'm clearly inferior. I maybe got issues down below. Maybe I wasn't good enough in bed, or maybe I'm just weak, maybe I'm just not a good wizard, maybe I should have protected her better, maybe I should have supported her better, maybe I should have said this or that. And there's constant doubting that's going to go in Rudy's mind. That is something that is just by human nature when relationships do not go well. And that's not just romantic relationships, that's also just friendships or family based as well. All kinds of different relationships from top to the bottom, where something goes wrong and there's miscommunication, or there's just an argument or an interest, a conflict of interest, straight away, one of the first things we as individuals, and I've done it before as well, as a key example, I've done it when I've had less than stellar breakups with a certain partner. The first thing you do is you go straight to the back of your mind and you start doubting yourself and you start questioning every single decision you play, every single moment back through your head, part by part by part, and you overanalyze everything until it rips you apart. And it is a very unhealthy thing to do. This is something Rudy's already started doing at the end of season 1, and it is clear that he's probably going to be continuing to do that throughout season 2, because it's just human nature in itself. And so you got to ask yourself the question, is it Eris's fault for not communicating correctly, or should have Rudy realized that she isn't exactly a scholar at reading and writing? So maybe he should have realized that maybe she said something and there's a little bit more context. Should have he tried to chase after her? Would have that been the wise decision to do? Or should have he just waited? I mean, then if that's the case and you say, okay, well, it's Rudy's fault for not realizing what she was meant, then what does he do after that? Does he just sit there and wait for her to be ready to then reignite? Does he find somewhere to just kind of sit in jello for a while? Or does he go and do something else, go to school, or that he wanted to do originally before he ended up meeting her? Or does he go and become an adventurer? Or does he just become a farmer until she decides to? Like, what does he do? And that is one of the, I think, the reasons why it hit him so hard, because he's lost. He doesn't know what to do. She's just gone. Even if he sat there and thought, well, maybe she's miscommunicated something, maybe I could go find her and ask, but it's like, but what do? Do you go chase her? Because she clearly went that direction for a reason, and she went without him for a reason. So she clearly didn't want him to follow because she wanted to do what she wanted to do with Ghislaine on her own without Rudy there. And that instantly puts more doubt into Rudy's mind, which is the worst thing that you can do. And it shows back again to Eris that she just does not have that communication skills that maybe others would have. And because Rudy isn't exactly the best at communicating things at times, you've got two individuals that are not very good, that can be very socially awkward. And yes, throughout season 1, you can see those moments where Rudy tries to be super energetic, easy, social going, but those don't always go particularly well. Those can be disasters in the making. They're like the Titanic. It's just destined to go wrong kind of thing. It's like watching a slow motion accident. It's just not pleasant when Rudy tries to communicate in the most weirdest and jankiest ways. It's why he had problems with Paul when they reignited, because Rudy tried to explain things that were going on in his life in a way that led to some misunderstandings. And of course Paul was also at fault, but maybe with Rudy's experience that he should have went in there with a little bit of a different mind, of being like, yeah, things were hard, but I got through it. I don't want you to worry, Dad. I'm here for you. Let's get through this together. But things played out in a different way. And that's why one of the things that I love about Mushoku Tensei is that communication, that human element to communication and misunderstandings. And I'd love to know your thoughts in the comment section down below. What do you think of that? Who do you think it's at fault? To me, I think it's a little bit of A, a little bit of B, but it just depends on how you look at it from the different angles. And I'd love to know, who do you think is at fault, and where do you think they could have improved on that communication, and what could have they done better? Again, if you like this video, hit the like, subscribe, and I'll see you beautiful nerds in the next video.